Hello, welcome to Network. My name is Pumelele Zondi with your technology and social media news. It's SABC Network. Now, that's on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. It's News Network at sabc.co.za. On email if you're looking for us there. This week, our Twitter poll is asking you about your views on AI technology that can mimic some of our mannerisms as humans. Meta, who are the founders of Facebook and owners of Instagram and WhatsApp, say they've developed AI that can mimic some people's voices and even change languages in your voice to another language. Results of that are coming up later in the program. Here's what's coming up in this particular episode. We look at how some startups that are in the technology space can possibly stay in South Africa with better funding. This, as we've heard about, the tech brain drain. We ask you if you care at all about the brand of your mobile device and if you buy mobile devices with brand names that you don't know at all. And in our conversation, we chat about statistics that show that we now spend more money on mobile devices and mobile devices have more revenue for the gaming industry than consoles as it used to be in the past. Now, we've heard about the tech brain drain in South Africa, and some people who are founders of startups have said that they're either leaving the country or have left the country already because they get better support elsewhere. But what's needed in order for these startups to stay in South Africa? And we can also perhaps look at some competitions that can help with funding.
South Africa's technology sector is experiencing rapid growth, creating a demand for skilled professionals in various tech fields. However, a report conducted by Deloitte says that 69% of organizations regard their talent pool as insufficiently equipped to execute digital strategies. This paints a rather bleak picture. Meanwhile, there are young tech professionals like Gifile Matladze who say that finding employment after graduating was rather difficult, which saw her seeking out for opportunities in developed countries.
So I had to get a master's degree before I could start working for one of the big four consulting firms, just because it's like, you know, like getting a job it wasn't easy at the time. It was in 2016. So it was challenging getting employed in my field. When I was looking for employment in my field, I searched for months and months, and when I finally got the interview, I had to like beg them basically to give me a chance. I resigned from my job without a backup because I just thought, well, this is not worth anything because I am still you're treated like garbage, basically. So the US has a market for people with my skills. So someone found me on LinkedIn and they were like, we have a boutique consulting company. Are you interested in finding out more about this company and possibly migrating to the US? And I was like, of course, who wouldn't?
In efforts to counter this brain drain, we have seen organizations such as Geek Culture hosting solution-based hackathons that not only uncovers tech skills, but also encourage young tech brains to stay and try and solve local problems.
We also work as Geek Culture very closely with the CPSI, who are also saying, how can we use the youth to solve important problems? And the other day they were mentioning some of the solutions that our youth developed to assist the government in improving service delivery.
Another initiative that is ensuring the participation of South African tech brains on a global platform is the BRICS Business Council's Future Skills Challenge.
If you have got any skills around technology, so we're talking about data science, we're talking about mobile app development, renewable energy, some mobile manufacturing, robotics. Actually, there's a long list of 12 different skill areas. So I want anyone who is interested in applying to go and look on our website, bricsfutureskills.coza, and there's a write-up there of what all the different skills are that we are going to be competing in across the BRICS nations.
We cannot shy away from the fact that countries like Russia, China and India are more advanced in technology skills, which begs the question, do South African participants really stand a chance against such highly skilled individuals?
So yes, there are some areas where China and Russia are definitely ahead of us, and we saw that in the BRICS Future Skills Challenge last year in 2022. However, South Africa, our youth have got a lot more talent than we give them credit for. So last year we won 15 medals. In comparison to India, I think India got 16 medals across the 17 different areas that we all competed in. China and Russia did get more medals, for sure, but we did fairly well considering we have a tiny population in comparison to those other countries. So we do have pockets of excellence, and there are youth that are coming out of our engineering faculties, that are coming out of our computer science and technology faculties that really have what it takes to compete in this.
South Africa is considered a third world country, but technology is a global platform. So although we are a third world country per se and maybe solving for different problems, we're using the same tools and technologies that these countries are using to solve their problems. And when we, like I said earlier, we collaborate with a lot of companies to solve for problems. And a lot of these companies are global companies. And what that means is that whatever they are experiencing on a global scale, they also bring it to us as South Africa to contribute to that problem solving.
The first BRICS Future Skills Challenge took place in 2017, with South Africa hosting that very next year. The deadline for application is on the 30th of June, and the final leg of the competition is to be hosted in Johannesburg starting from the 12th to the 15th September 2023, which will be South Africa's second time hosting the event.
As South Africans, we are very brand conscious on many things, but there are technologies that sometimes come without the brand name that we recognize. And do we actually care about this, or are we still moved by what the name of the brand is, irrespective of what it can actually do when it comes to smartphone technology?
The economic instability has impacted shopping habits, with consumers around the country reportedly reducing their non-essential spending so far in 2023. Despite this, analysts say spending on luxury goods like smartphones has shown surprising staying power.
So I think a big contributor is the lack of financial education, the right financial education, because it's not something that we taught in school. And when you start earning money, you want to go out, you want to look cool, you want to fit in regardless of what fitting in means, right? You could be gamers, or you could be musicians or artists. You want to fit into your crew, so you will dress and wear things and buy things according to where you fit in the world.
In the midst of this, premium devices are having their moment.
Let's do the math. I mean, if you want to spend 30,000 Rand on a phone, assuming you're going to buy it over a contract, it's probably around 1,200 Rand a month. What would you have? Would you have rather a grocery budget of 1,200 Rand or spend 1,200 Rand on a phone? Obviously, it depends on individuals and households where their priorities lie. But at the moment, and I did a story in this week with regards to smartphone sales, smartphone shipments, they've declined significantly across the world. And that is a sign, and one of the reasons they cited is that people are spending more on groceries and household items.
Consumers around the country and of varying ages, particularly those labeled as Generation Z, have shown an affinity for premium smartphones.
I am brand loyal. I've used the same brand, and then since from primary, when iPhone started, I've always been an iPhone fan. I've never changed, and I feel like if I had to change, I think I once tried to change. There's a point whereby my iPhone was lost. Tried using an Android, I couldn't. My fingers couldn't.
I'm very, very loyal to Samsung brand. So yeah, I really love Samsung. I won't consider any other brands.
I'm not really brand loyal. I've used various brands. I am happy with just Android phones, but not a specific name brand.
Mobile brand Tecno says it is launching Spark 10 series with the aim to bridge the gap between advanced technology and the younger generation, who also generally make up the lower income earning segment.
So we cater across all price points for everybody else. So it's a 32 megapixel front camera and a 50 megapixel back camera. It's got a large battery. It's a fast charging device. So this is our hero device for the year. We won't be launching anything else. This is the only product that we're pushing, but we're also bringing a 5G version of the device that's coming in July. These devices came in May, so the 5G version is coming in July. We want to bring 5G in the lower price segment so that people can also be able to afford good devices at affordable prices.
The company says its devices offer the best balance of price and performance.
So it's a big memory device. We've got a technology called memory fusion, which allows you to extend space when you run out of space. So it's also a 256 gig device. You can store content if you're a content creator. You can store projects if you're a student. You can store anything basically in the phone without worrying about running out of space. What memory fusion does is that when you do get to a point where you've run out of space, you can extend the memory for as much as you want.
Some consumers say they would want to buy the latest models but are reluctant to pay more for that new shiny phone.
You have to prioritize when it comes to these things. You know, at the end of the day, a smartphone calls, it sends messages, and it takes pictures if you're into that type of thing. And having like the highest end of device, I think for most people is not really a priority right now. You know, you got to put food on the table, you got to put petrol in your tank, you got to do all of those things. There's a lot of other things that take priority over a device that's going to be, you know, irrelevant in the next 8 or so months. So, you know, there's just other pressing issues, especially in the context of South Africa.
Industry experts project that luxury goods market will continue to experience positive growth, rising by 60% in value by the end of the decade.
As we continue to honor young people who are in the technology space this Youth Month, let's check in with a health technology startup.
Cure Medical then introduced the technology-enabled hospital at home, which allows us to provide hospital-level care to patients from the comfort of their own home. So we are bringing back that model. And so we've got technology that allows us to provide real-time monitoring. As you would monitor patients in high care or in the hospital, we have got a patch, and I'll share that with you alongside other technology that allows us to capture, you know, clinical information and patient physiological data in real time, transmit that to a 24-hour command center that the patient's doctor can access, and we built that within an ecosystem for healthcare delivery. What that means is that the patient doctor can see what the patient is doing from a how the patient is doing. Rather, we are capturing vital signs. We've got early warning system capabilities, which means that we can actually pick up that the patient is going to run into trouble before they know that they're going to run into trouble. All of this is connected into a network of emergency medical services, which means we can actually respond to the patients if they run into trouble. Above all of this, we bring certain services to the patient's home.
Why Cure Medical? I believe as a person, and I guess as an organization, that bringing healthcare closer to the patient is going to be key to wrestling with this problem of access to healthcare. Naturally, technology is a very, very critical enabler to bringing, you know, healthcare closer and closer to the patient.
Many people who have been in hospital before, or if they have families that have been in hospital, they'll know that usually nurses would come around every 4 to 8 hours to collect blood pressure and heart rates and temperature to see how they do it. The problem is that if something was to happen to that patient between those routine visits, these patients often are not picked up and therefore can complicate. With our system, we collect that information minute by minute. So we know at any given time the heart rate, the temperature, a respiratory rate, which is the number of times a patient breathes per minute.
We have received the backing of MIC, which is going to go a really, really long way in helping us scale our solution across the country and across the continent, which is, you know, something that we believe is an urgent imperative for our business at the moment.
SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. After the break, we chat about new stats that say that we spend more time playing games on mobile phones than on gaming consoles as it used to be in the past. It is the SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. News Network at sabc.co.za. On email, welcome back. Now, PwC research says about $37 billion in the gaming industry goes to mobile games, which are played by social gamers. Now, this could suggest that people are shifting away from games that are played on consoles that could include Xbox or maybe PlayStation. To talk to us more about this shift into mobile gaming is Kim Chulu-Mukenge, who is a games developer himself. Hello, and thank you very much for being a part of our network, Kim. Maybe if you can start by telling us about this shrinkage. What's causing it? Or perhaps is there even a shrinkage that's going on here?
We're looking at the results that PwC's report indicate, which shows that we've got a shrinking happening with traditional gaming in terms of the revenue, and that would include like consoles, whatever revenue would have come out of gaming consoles. And from a traditional perspective, all that it accounted as revenue turns out to be about 26%. And when we look at casual gaming, which would then include mostly your aspect of gaming through mobile portable devices, and that is actually 69%. And most of the revenue that actually would be accounting for this growth appears to be ads and the business model that actually goes around what can you do with the mobile casual game and how can you actually get revenue out of it. And the biggest amount of the revenue, it's definitely attributed to ads and the way they actually position. So with all of that, we then realize that it's definitely attributed to the fact that most people are back to normal. We are now living our basic regular life, hopefully for everyone. But all of that is what already was happening before COVID. So pre-COVID, we already had this rise on mobile. We already had this rise on casual gaming, which had been, booming already. But there was just a little bit of a pause during COVID.
Kim, who is gaming on mobile devices and what sort of games are they playing?
The age group that is actually being also indicated, surprisingly enough, most people would expect it would be in the younger age group, but there was also a recent report with one of the leading game development platform, Unity, which had indicated how the numbers is actually above even the youth, about the young people that are actually spending a lot of time now playing games. And when you look at the older age group, they find that as an easy way to also relax, an easy way to just casually enjoy their little time there. And a lot of people that are actually also working, commuting, being at home or spending time at home, even in terms of retired people.
African games developers like yourselves, how can they leverage on this? Can they leverage on this?
You see a lot more developers, African developers, for instance, some of the ones in Cameroon, in Kenya, in Ghana, who are also having interesting models around how they will be generating revenue, how they'll be including any type of revenue model into their games. And that is thanks to the fact that one can play casual games on a mobile device without requiring a lot of computation.
What possibilities exist in mobile games that don't exist in consoles?
And you've got a massive amount of download, and then you are able to have revenue, and you are able to now have your business going, and that is the power that has actually been provided with the amount of casual gamers that we're actually witnessing, and that has been growing, especially locally as well. So with titles that are also looking toward inclusion and ensuring that we also have stories that are our local stories also being put out there. When you can self-publish on a game and on mobile, you basically have opportunities to explore that storytelling, which can allow for connecting with the kind of target market that you have, target audience that you're looking to reach, and they are finding different ways that you can even have physical different traditional ways of marketing, which you blend with or traditional way of making revenue, which you can blend with the ads and so forth.
Are gaming consoles still relevant?
Gaming consoles are still relevant, for sure. And we believe that they will still be there because the computing that you have on a gaming console will definitely always be a lot bigger. You've got graphics that are amazing, you've got a lot of different experiences that you can actually have when you're thinking about a gaming console, and those experiences are now also tying into different ways you would then include, like that you would include virtual reality headsets and all the different aspects. However, you would have also noticed that a lot of gaming consoles have not been providing a lot of amazing features, and then they are taking much longer to even bring in their next gaming console. Xbox is currently indicating that their next console will probably come in 2028.
All right. Kim Chulu Mukenge, thank you very much for being a part of our network. It is SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. News Network at sabc.co.za on email. Stay with us. SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Welcome back. Here's what else took place in the rest of the world in the tech space.
That enable more interaction with virtual reality, which basically means that we were able to use these muscles to measure the movements of humans without visual cues, that is, without using any camera systems or something like that. So we call this proprioception. And we were also able to provide haptic feedback with these artificial muscles, making the interaction with the virtual reality a lot more natural feeling, because you do not have only audio or visual inputs, but also tactile input.
Potential applications for the technology include motion tracking systems for movies and animation, restarting frozen gates, a symptoms of Parkinson's that requires a prompt to help the patient move, and a whole host of gaming or well-being possibilities. Moving to motor technology in China, over 6 million electric vehicle chargers have been built across China. The Deputy Secretary General of the National Development and Reform Commission says the new energy vehicle industry is developing rapidly.
在大中型以上城市，经营性停车场具备规范充电条件的车位比例，力争超过城市注册电动汽车比例。农村地区充电服务覆盖率稳步上升。功能服务方面，充电基础设施快慢互补、智能开放，充电服务安全可靠、经济便捷，标准规范和市场监管体系基本完善，行业监管和治理能力基本实现现代化，技术装备和科技创新达到世界先进水平。
First-tier cities in the country have charging facilities covering more than 80% of their central urban areas, with a service radius equivalent to that of gas stations. In the meantime, a highway fast-charging network has taken shape, covering 65% of the highway service across the country.
As Meta, the owners of Facebook, WhatsApp, and Instagram, has said that they have an AI technology that can recognize and even mimic some voices. This week, Twitter poll is asking about how you feel about these new technologies that can have human behavior. Right, and that's it. That's all we have for you. Find us on SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. It's News Network at sabc.co.za. On email from me, Zondi, and the rest of the network team. Have a good one. Bye-bye.